Alerta de tornado en California, ya azotada por una tormenta. Una extraña alerta de tornado fue divulgada para Los Ángeles, mientras el sur de California oeste estaba azotado por una tormenta con fuertes lluvias y nevadas en una región donde miles de hogares se quedaron sin electricidad. El meteorólogo del Servicio Nacional del Tiempo, Ryan Kittel, dijo que una fuerte tormenta estaba ingresando desde el Océano Pacífico, arrastrando vientos de más de 95 kilómetros por hora, por lo cual se divulgó la alerta de tornado.
Right. And there's nowhere really to predict that because, you know, the flows, you get palm fronds down there, you get whatever, gets stuck and it just clogs up the drains and the water just rises, has nowhere to go, and it floods your car.
I mean, look at this. This is really quite dramatic, though. I mean, I'm sure, people in Long Beach are looking at this going, yeah, that one area always gets flooded. Yeah, but not like this typically. This is a real lot of rain.
Yeah.
And so we all know in our areas, in our neighborhoods, or the places that we frequent, oh, yeah, that corner usually fills up with rainwater. That's a kind of a poor drainage system. But boy, this little episode has really taxed those areas beyond what they would normally endure.
We're looking at some of the areas of the flooding here in Long Beach. One location is 10th and Bennett. Termino between 4th and 7th, another area with flooded cars, and PCH in Alameda. Can you imagine if you are living in this area and you come outside and see your car sitting in this very, very large puddle?
Well, the problem is, is so many of our cars now are so electronic intensive, that any water like this does not mix well with the electronics. So a lot of these cars will be totaled just as a result of them unable to operate because they've been waterlogged right out of existence.
And we were talking, too, about driving into areas where you see flooding. You might not expect it to be this deep on this street if you're approaching this.
Well, it all depends, as we talked about, the drains being clogged and unable, to get any kind of clearance at all that allows, the water to flow into the ocean, and so it just backs up. And it could be here, it could be anywhere, really.
Yeah, this goes less, what I'm about to say next goes less for the Long Beach area, but it's sort of interesting fact. It really applies in some of the areas of the IE and definitely the desert communities which experience flash flooding. We always say, hey, don't try to go through standing water in your car.
Yeah.
Don't try to drive through an area. You may look like you can hit the puddle and make it through, but try not to do that. You may wonder why we emphasize that. I'll tell you why. Because the greatest loss of life in flash flooding is people trying to drive through standing water. That's the way people lose their lives more than any other way, more than hillsides coming down and taking out houses. It's the washing away of these cars, and people then don't know what to do. They panic, they try to get out, and they drown.
Yeah.
And so we emphasize these things, and again, in Long Beach, let's face it, you don't see these situations so frequently.
You do in the Inland Empire.
But as I say, in the IE and the desert communities, it's really something worth remembering.
And if you live out in the desert, you know this, and you know better than to go across a dry creek, especially when it's raining heavily in the mountains, and this 10-foot wall of water suddenly hits you, or
you do know better. And you know what, Carlos? Somehow it always happens. So you always feel like, well, I guess there are new people to the game all the time, and you have to keep reminding and explaining the reason. But
all right, we're going to go to Jim Amormino from Orange County, and Jim, what's it been like for you? A busy day down in Orange County. We've had reports of tornadoes, we've had gusty winds, we've had damage. Tell us what you know.
Well, like you said, it's been very busy on El Toro Road near the 5 freeway. Several cars are literally under 3 to 4 feet of water. There's been reports of parents passing out young kids to passerbys to help, and other people standing on the roofs of their vehicles. So it's pretty messy down on El Toro Road. In Sunset Beach, there's been very forceful winds. One turned over a vehicle. One report of a catamaran being lifted approximately 50 feet in the air and then slammed onto a jetty. There's another catamaran on a piling. A couple boats, 70-foot boats, broken away from their moors. So it's been pretty rough out there.
Well, you used the word forceful winds. We had, reports of a tornado warning, but you're choosing the words forceful winds. What was it like there?
Well, I'm saying forceful winds up to 90 miles an hour.
Wow.
I'm not sure what constitutes a tornado or not, since I'm not a weather guy, but I'd say very, very strong winds. And again, I'm not sure if a tornado or not, but they were apparently enough to lift catamarans up 30 to 50 feet. There was one 911 call that came in from an hysterical woman, and rightfully so, that every window in her home was blown out.
Wow. No kidding.
Well, we have hurricane force is what, 74 miles an hour?
Yeah, well, certainly they surpassed that. We surpassed that yesterday.
Yeah.
But you know, when it hits 90, I don't think it really matters whether it's a tornado or not. That's a technical matter. I think you identify the right things: damage, loss of property, potential loss of life as these things go flying through the air. Debris gets blown around. So you're absolutely right. Once the wind velocities hit 90, who really cares whether it's a tornado or not? Technically.
Jim, we talked about this being a quick-moving storm. Talk about conditions there right now.
Well, it's still raining from Santa Ana to South Orange County. Literally, the streets are turned into rivers. I've been a long time, as you probably know, and I've never seen anything like this. Almost every street I turn on, the water is well over the curbs on both sides into the parking lot. Several vehicles are stranded. We urge the people not to drive, especially if you have someone small in the car, but a lot of people are still willing to take chances, but it's extremely dangerous.
Well, you work in law enforcement, so you've got to be concerned about the next few days as well, with more rain coming.
Well, they say tomorrow's going to be worse, but what I've seen, I can't imagine anything being worse.
Well, what's interesting about today, and Mark has talked a little bit about it, the conditions were right today for the tornadic winds that we had, and the rapidity of the storm front moving through, and the way the unstable air mass was over Southern California. Now, what happens, I guess, next, Mark, is that with this moving out and the unstable air that's now behind this, it sets up the next big storm, which could be potentially worse than the two that we've already had.
Right. I mean, but we do have, we've got a period sort of with these scattered showers and instability, not quite as dramatic as what we've just seen, and again, instability just means sort of the air mass with a tendency to pop up into to showers and thunderstorms here and there. But yeah, we're going to generally dry out a bit, and then I think tomorrow we are going to experience a more vigorous a wave moving through, and I'll give you more details on that as we look at the computer models this afternoon and as I get back to the weather office and the like. And that will be followed by another system right on its heels on Thursday, and I think that'll be the haymaker. That will really be the knockout blow. So hey, look, I'm obviously hoping we can get through it, the region can get through it, but I do worry about that the most, on top of because of what we've experienced already in the week.
Jim, as far as tactically, what does law enforcement, what do the fire departments do in a situation like this when you know this is going to happen? What do you do tactically to get ready for it?
Well, we activate our emergency operations center with the fire department, the police department. We try to monitor all the canyon areas, especially them. We have scout cars patrolling burnt areas to try to anticipate any potential problems so we can start early evacuations if necessary. So we're trying to keep a tab on it. But Orange County is a large county, but we're doing a pretty good job.
Well, Jim, thank you so much for your input on what's happening there in Orange County. Hope everybody's going to be okay with that street flooding there. Rick Lozano, yeah, we're going to check in with Rick Lozano, who's on the ground in one of these flooded locations. Rick, where are you?
Long Beach. We're just to the west of Wilson High School, and I got to tell you, this intersection is underwater.